Yeah, man.
Are we okay?
You're good.
Okay, thanks for bearing with us. Mr. Ferre?
Yes, Brian Foray, Director of Facilities for the Board of Education, and I just want to clarify a few things for the new members of the council, particularly. And we're pleased to hear that $2 million is being reintroduced into for the project. And I just wanted to clarify for the new members that this is not unusual in the way that funding has proceeded for schools in the past. It's not uncommon for us to be able to get money in chunks through various fiscal years, both from the state and the county, for us to be able to accumulate enough funding authorization for us to proceed on the projects. What's a little unusual in this case is that we're not all in agreement yet what that might be, but it sounds like this train is getting back on the track. So to appropriate $2 million toward the project, it sounds like we're getting it together again. We're supporting a project to be defined, and we'll be able to now put the other pieces back in place with the state and get back on accumulating the funds that we need over multiple fiscal years to do the right project, whatever that is. So this is not uncommon, and I just wanted you all to know that.
Could I ask you one question,
Sure.
not to put you on the spot, but if we were looking at a serious renovation, do you have an estimate of what that range could be based on your experience?
We looked at that as part of the feasibility studies, and I don't have that information offhand. I can tell you when we were looking at a 300-seat school, it was around $26 million at that point, and that was, I think, the replacement and the renovation was maybe 24, 25. But again, I have to refer back to that feasibility study. What's before you now in the request that was made was for a replacement school of 650, which increased the overall capacity of the school by trying to consolidate schools and taking another school offline in the future that wouldn't have to be renovated. So it was to try to consolidate our overall portfolio and what we had to maintain going forward in the long term. That's a whole nother story.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you.
Any other comments on the West Salisbury? Yes.
Good evening. I spoke with you earlier today. It's been a little while ago, but I'm Mike Wigley, and I'm president of Davis Bowen and Friedel. We're architects, engineers, and surveyors in town, and we were the author of the original study that Mr. Van der Vossen mentioned for the West Salisbury Elementary School. I'm also a taxpayer, and I do want to applaud Mr. Culver for, after his election, for jumping in, being fiscally responsible, looking at the budget. I also want to applaud him for, I think somebody mentioned earlier about wanting our executive to pivot and to make adjustments, hear all the facts, get into the details. It looks like there's still some communication that needs to happen, but I'm really pleased to see that. What I want to mention as the author of the original study was that the first thing we as architects do is look at the building. The last thing we want to do is tear down the building, quite honestly. We agree that these buildings obviously had a lot of investment going into them originally. They've had a useful life. Can that useful life be extended? That's the very first thing that we look at. How much is it going to cost to actually renovate a project, and how can we get that building so it can be useful again? That was one of the areas that we looked at in the study. And it did not take into account any of the programmatic needs, any of the expansion requirements, just what do we need to do to get the building up to speed. I didn't come here prepared to talk tonight about this, so I don't know all the numbers and the details. Happy to be involved, if you'd like for me to in the future. But we did get involved beyond that, because you want to look at what the school is all about. What are the needs? Are the classrooms large enough? Is the media center large enough? Is there a gymnasium? The things that modern day schools require these days. We don't do this alone. We bring in specialists that help us with these studies. One of those specialists is one of the top architect and design teams in the state of Maryland. They know the requirements. They come in, they get involved as well, and we look at the programmatic requirements for the school. So what we concluded was that it just wasn't going to take just an initial renovation of the school to do the trick. We had to also expand the school too in order to meet the programmatic needs. So that was the second part of the study. And then we evaluate what's most cost effective. Do we do this? Do we look at a new school in some respect? So we take the study a little bit further. When you renovate a school, you also have to consider what the life cycle costs are going to be. If you just renovate the school, is it going to extend its useful life beyond what a new school would these days? When we design new schools now, we're able to design them with systems in place that are more energy efficient, more sustainable, can last longer in themselves. So there's a value to that. So we look at that as well, not just what the immediate costs are going to be. That's very important. When we got into the study with the West Salisbury Elementary community, it was a very interesting process. We had parents involved, we had administrators involved, we had students that came in. We went through a lot of exercises on what the school needed. So that helped us understand the programmatic needs. But what we also look at is what is special about a school. Somebody mentioned in the neighborhoods, a school and a church are one of the most important aspects of a neighborhood. And in this case, it couldn't be more true. The school is no doubt just a place to educate children. In this particular school, it's important. They're really nurturing parental involvement, which I think is very important, and I think that's what's unique about the West Salisbury Elementary School. So we want to be able to design and work those things into the school as well. And also the school intended to serve other community functions. So when you have a large space like a combined gymnasium and cafeteria, that also is useful for community events, so it can be a place to rally the community. So I just wanted to mention those things. We look at it in a very factual way. We put all these components together. We let the school board and their staff make the final decision. But I wanted to let you know what went into the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wigley. Any other comments?
Good evening. My name is Sean Tucker, and I'm a Waccamaw County coach and an educator in another county. I'm not going to say that county. But I coach football for Parkside Rams, and I coach basketball for Mardell, I'm head coach. And it's kind of exciting to sit here and listen to a new school, but it's also a little bit frustrating to me because when you're in the school system and you're teaching and these kids got access to smart boards, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's amazing what these kids can do with technology, and this is what our 21st century kids have to do. But it's also frustrating because in the summer times and my off time, I'm in this community, and it's frustrating me that these kids aren't getting the proper education that they should. And it's like, and then parents don't come in and support, because if you have an area or a facility that's conducive to everybody coming, you're happy and you're smiling and you're excited to come there. I mean, it benefits everybody. But in these facilities that are run down or past their time, they don't want to come, and you wonder why that they're not having the parent involvement that it should be. Let alone they don't want to send their kids there, but they don't want to come there because it's just not conducive. You got health issues in there with these kids. I mean, you got these kids constantly being sick. I mean, if you just check the nurse, some of the sickness is probably because of the school. So it's exciting that you hear that the money is going to be there, but we got to get these kids a better education. We got it, because I'm a product of a west side of Salisbury, and the word that keeps ringing in my ear is options. We got to give these kids options. And even for Bennett, I coach at Parkside, but I'm excited that Bennett's going to be able to get a track, because there are kids who just aren't 4.0, 5.0 students, and they need these scholarships. And these facilities were only going to enhance that opportunity for scholarship. And when I read studies about kids being determined whether they're going to go to prison in third grade, I didn't really believe until I got in education. And I'm understanding now that we start in this part, and I'm understanding how you can, because these kids, they're not being educated, and they're not learning, and they're not at the level that they should be. And it's because of just the buildings and opportunities that he's given. And we have to give these kids opportunities. If we don't give these kids opportunities, our crime rate's just going to go up. And I'm a product of Salisbury. I could have went anywhere in this state, in the country, but I chose to come back home because this is the value. Like, we got everybody that want to graduate, and it's fine. They want to graduate, go out. But we need to start here. If you look compared to this area, compared to other areas, we have so much going on, but yet we're so far behind. And it's frustrating to have to sit here in the summer times and have to deal with these kids. Stop, don't do that. Well, why? We don't have nothing. We don't have nowhere else to go. And it's just the mentality that we have to break the cycle. And by offering a better school and a better opportunity for education. Bringing in, there are also teachers who, well, good teachers who are there, and there's also good teachers who want to come in and teach in the school. But they're not teachers who are going to come in on the school and teach with facilities that are not up to par. When you can go a couple counties over and get paid more, or maybe even paid less, but be in a better situation. But we need to give these kids an opportunity. So if it's $2 million, we need to figure out ways to get this money, because these kids need options. Because every day, like, these kids are getting further and further behind if we don't give these kids options. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Other comments? Dr. Frederickson?
Thank you. John Frederickson, Superintendent of Schools, Wycomico County. And just wanted to say thank you very much, Mr. Culver, for your support in terms of the $2 million. We're delighted to learn about that this evening. And we're very eager to make sure that we can use that and leverage to get ourselves back into the queue. The letter I received from the state today did not note any authority to be in the queue. So we're going to be eager to talk with them right away tomorrow morning. I don't know what kind of documentation, what your timeline is, but we want to do everything we can do to expedite the study to have West Salisbury going forward. Whether it's a renovation or a new building, we're open to learn about that and to figure it out. And maybe there was some ways to push the numbers to make them benefit one direction or another. I'm not hung up on one. I just know that the feasibility study we did before, renovation and remodeling and that did not come out as the best option. But maybe by a little bit more work, we can come up with something that's maybe more applicable, and we can be one Wycomico. That's what my goal is. Number two, the planful use of money is really important for us. If you've got some interests, and County Council has some interest in terms of making sure that we do something to retain a particular building, we need to get out early on that and talk about, we have some ideas. We have some, I think, good ideas that you might really, really like. The idea of all of a sudden remodeling and making offices out of Bennett Middle School, that was rejected years ago, and so I don't know that that's the best option at this point. The train's kind of left the station already, and we need to honor the contracts that we already have out there. We want to engage in the process, and we're delighted to continue, and I hope that we can continue with the School Building Commission that's authorized by the county and by the Board of Education, continue that process of thorough study in terms of projects. We are using the public's money, and we want to make sure that that's done properly. In terms of staff, and a couple of comments were made about that, if I may just digress on that for just a second. We have an excellent staff, and we'll put our statistics up against anyone and the results that they deliver with kids. We have a very strong feeling about that. And I want to put more staff involved with the kids directly. And one of the things that's come tonight as far as West Salisbury, having a question about how big it should be and what were the numbers previously. We're looking at increasing the size of West Salisbury to 650. It's about 300 right now. And that 650 means we can drop an administrative unit. And that saves $600,000 or $700,000 every year that we can push into classroom services for kids. So if people are curious about that, we'd be more than glad to have a conversation with them in regards to it. We want to work together. We have to stand for our standards, but we want to work together and make sure that any additions or remodelings that we do, make sure that they make the most of every dollar, whether that's today's dollar, whether it's operating, whether it's capital dollars, those are long-term bonded dollars, or whether those are energy dollars. We want to make sure that they're very energy efficient. And I'm always ready to take your phone call. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Frederickson. Any other comments? I see none. I'd like to thank everybody that for attending tonight and being that concerned about your schools and Wycomico County as a whole. I'd also like to thank all those that did speak. The council will take a 5-minute recess just to remind you one more time. March 17th will be the date where we do take that vote as far as the capital improvement program. All right. Thank you very much for coming again. Council will take a 5-minute recess.